Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a chess show on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Starr, and today's guest is Professor Ken Regan. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Thank you very much. Welcome from a new place in New Jersey. So,
Yes, every time is a new place. It's either your
mhm,
auditorium or your house.
guest room of a place I'm staying. So,
Right, okay.
actually, my mother's apartment. She's a big fan of the show. So,
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so
yes.
much. And the show is definitely a great success, and thanks to you and your uh,
Hmm.
thorough knowledge and enthusiasm as always. So today, if you can, could you show us some of the most significant games from
Yes, I
the
will. Yes. So, I
world?
have I have one game from the World Rapid. It was a
Yes.
decisive encounter, and one game from yesterday's Title Tuesday Blitz that I may be able to tell
Oh, I haven't
between.
seen those.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Take a,
so shockingly, Hikaru lost in the last round of a Title Tuesday Blitz. But about the person who beat him, there's other news. So, and of course, we are looking forward um, to the Vaikonse tournament.
yes. So
With
finally, world champion is in action.
Yes, and he played a warm up tournament in China, lost a knockout game, but
Mhm.
still he played. so it's you had to understand. We all grew up with Bobby Fischer not defending his title and having walked out before. So we wonder, well, is this going to be a repeat of that history? But hopefully not.
Mhm.
Okay, so what I'm showing is a game I mentioned at the very end last week. This was really a decisive round 10 encounter that put Magnus Carlsen clearly on the way to winning the World Rapid. He won his next game against Puya Adani and then was able to coast in with two draws. So he's playing black against Fedoseev. So you can see the screen now?
Yes.
Yes. So this is, if you have my idea of the next level of chess and a kind of chess that's already played by computers, this would be my best guess of it. So, um, so it becomes a Nimzo-Indian defense, and very interesting to me. Carlsen captures on c3 right away without being provoked, without giving White a chance to support the knight with a piece that
Yeah,
could be.
Bishop D2 was played lately quite a few times. So maybe
Right.
to avoid Bishop D2 line.
Yeah, I think so. I think do I associate Oleg Romanishin with that opening?
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, this just leads to a game where Black will be able to maneuver to keep White's queenside majority in check. White will build on the center and the king side, but here we are building in the center, and so Black now has just a very good strong point blocking game, and the question is, can White find a way to overrun Black's position? Playing d5, White certainly is not going to overrun Black's position. On the other hand, the move has a good cramping effect. Now Black cannot so easily get a knight to a5
Do you
or b.
remember that the similar structure was in a famous Fischer Spassky game when Fischer
Correct.
with black had at that time it was called Hubner variation.
Mm,
He had very promising position and brilliantly outplayed Spassky in the endgame.
that's right. Yeah. Yes. And Spassky's position just fell apart when Bishop takes
Yeah.
a4. So White already does not have an edge. So White is advancing on the king side. According to the computer, Black is completely fine. Um, so now Carlsen doesn't have to castle into the attack here. Carlsen will locate the king on the blocked queen side, and it's the only one thing about Black's position is it's cramped, and Black does not necessarily want to play b6 early on because that would give White a lever point to attack with a5. So that's why black did not try to develop the bishop so black could castle queenside. Actually, black's rook is probably best on a8 and b8. Be able to set any pressure draw. Now, white, on the other hand, is able to castle kingside if white so desires, on maybe needing to play g3 to firm up the pawn. But white's king is also not being disturbed, so white maneuvers around a little bit. And I don't even know if we can really trust the computer evaluation of this kind of very blocked position. Let's see, what does Stockfish want to play here? Stockfish wants to make space with a5. I can't argue with that. Now, Carlsen immediately pounces and blocks the position even more.
Fischer's
Yep.
Fischer. It was a Fischer's style in that game against Spassky. That's what he was playing. He blocked position everywhere, and interesting.
Yep. Now, here's a real puzzle. In 40 more moves, white's king will be checkmated. What square is white's king going to be checkmated on? You would never guess looking at this position with the block pawn structure. That's where you should begin to speak of Carlsen's wizardry. Anyway, so now white Fedoseev advances on the king side, and Carlsen does not completely block. Completely blocking would show a really interesting position. If you play g5 here, you're putting yourself at a permanent disadvantage. White has a square f5, and white's knight can hop right there. Black has a square f4, but there's no way for the knights to get there because white's pawns block all the ways. So Carlsen cedes the f5 square, but in a manner that he'll be able to get his own play on the king side. So, and in fact, the all-seeing eye says that black is doing completely fine, more than fine here. So now, okay, black gets a knight to b6. So by stopping a5, we are able to put a little pressure on white's c pawn, and that's going to become a factor later in the game. White goes for the square f5, but it's not as defended as it was in the other kind of line. So black can just ignore it. Black stands ready to capture with the bishop. And so maybe black's not making the most accurate moves. What would the computer do here? The computer would have routed the queen to g7 via f8 and try to come in that way. Very slow maneuvering. That said, this is very unusual for top-level chess. It is, however, typical of computer versus computer games that they maneuver for a long time and often without forcing a crisis, which, however, Carlsen does right away with the f5 pawns. That's one difference. So computer might have played a rook to f8, might have maneuvered black's queen to h7 before making a break like this. The computer is able to tell that by look ahead that white cannot break through in the meantime. In particular, black does have a defense ready in case white puts a rook on b1 and is threatening b6 and b7. Black would be able to play rook a6, guarding the knight. So, okay, so we trade off. So now white does that, and here we are, rook a6. So a little bit of initiative to white here, though, latent, because whites can get 2 rooks over to the king side. Black can get only 1 rook over to the king side conveniently. So anyway, so white trades and then plays rook b2. Well, okay, now white can't get another rook over to the king side conveniently. So that aspect was equalized, and black still shows as having more space, more active pieces, and a better pawn structure. So white regroups, and now white's king exits stage left. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to repeat my question at move 36. Okay, so now some maneuvering, and it's funny that knight f6 is thought by the computer to be an inaccuracy when it's absolutely the most natural move on the board. But what's the computer doing? Computer's playing knight b6, rook a2, and then repeating the position with knight d7. I don't know why Stockfish 16 behaves like that with cycling, but anyway, that's one reason why, again, maybe computers' evaluations of the position are not are not so accurate. I guess they're accurate in bulk, but maybe not in any one case. Okay, pair of rooks come off. Now black is able to bring the rook over to the king side. And there we go. So black still has an initiative. In fact, one of these moves was a significant mistake for white. Which one was it?
I don't like f4.
Yeah, I don't like opening the position for
You're
black.
locking your black squared bishop like forever.
Yeah, but the computer criticizes rook g1 instead of playing queen b3 and tying black down on the playing queen b3 to make black play bishop c8 to guard this pawn, and then queen c2 to oppose black's queen on the long diagonal. Notice that black eventually did maneuver his queen to h7. It's a very effective square for the queen. So, okay, so white slips, and I agree with you that f4 is a mistake. Stockfish agrees with you that f4 is a mistake. And the reason we're going to punish it is that black is now going to be able to seep in behind enemy lines.
Yeah, and I would like to ask you, every, as you say, Russian schoolboy knows that f4 is a lousy move. So why Fedosseev elected to play this move? It's strange. It's hard to say.
Yeah. Well,
maybe when you have inferior position, it's very, very difficult to avoid mistakes. They're almost true.
And see, Carlsen is banking on his ability to play these kinds of maneuvering positions better than the opponent. That's his real skill. So one point of white's f4, though, at least, was that if forced to capture, then white would have the queen and bishop pressuring d6. But now that is nicely blocked. Black's knight is better than either of white's bishops in this position. Okay, so white retreats the rook back, which is a very funny move, but you have to oppose black on the g file somehow. And now the bishop comes back. And this is where the game did start looking a little bit like echoes of the famous Spassky-Fischer game. Okay. Yep. So, because white has to guard the pawn on a4. Now white's king gets there, and now white's king can shimmy to a3 to guard the queen sides. This is move 36. Once again, I pose the question, on which square is white's king going to get checkmated 20 moves from now? And you might not ever believe it. Okay. Well, anyway, black had more force on the king side, is able to swipe a pawn. White uses the king to guard the queen side. And here we go. White is just trying to tie black down, but black seeps in. Okay, now this is a miscalculation, apparently. Allows black to take over the H file, and now black is seeping in even more. Okay, white got the G file, but black can stuff that up. Now black's pieces are really optimized, and the H pawn is going to march down the board unless black finds something even better to do. So here we go. Here starts the H pawn. Now rook on the 7th rank. White is clearly losing by now, but it's still fairly remarkable how Carlsen dusts this off, and this is how it begins. Okay. In a strong position, you probably have a sacrificial attack. It's not even a sacrifice at the moment because white's bishop is hanging off. Stop counterplay on a7. White's bishop is really shooting blanks. Okay, black now just has to regroup pieces. There we go. We put more pressure on there. Now d5 is threatened. White has to guard it. And now this is going to break through. So Carlsen did have to calculate this a little bit, that the d pawn is not going to go lost in this position. White heads for the hills with the king. It'd be interesting to see why white had to do that instead of a natural move like queen f3. So let's play queen f3 and see what black will do. Black will just push the h pawn. That's all.
Yeah.
So the h pawn, yes. So white's heading for the hills actually is trying to generate whatever counterplay there might be in the position.
There was a check.
What?
Yeah, finally.
White's queen was checking black's king. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now here's the answer to the riddle. White's king gets checkmated on a6. a7, actually. Somehow broke through the wall of pawns. So,
wow. You know, at some point, the black position was like playing by itself. I think any strong candidate master would probably play the same moves as Carlsen. It was so overwhelming advantage, the so natural play, just amazing.
Right. That is quite right. So now let me just see something. I meant to get this off. By the way, one thing I should remark is that this month we are saying farewell to the site Chess24. It was acquired by Chess.com more than a year ago, and now is being oh, nope, I had the wrong round, and now is being mothballed officially. Whoops.
Actually, I liked that side. It was especially when so many different tournaments and you can find any game is easy. I think chess.com probably should offer some possibilities similar to what they used to have on Chess24. I'm pretty sure they have technical solutions. It's just
yeah. Well, chess.com has its own events page, as I'm about to show.
Yes.
So that is taking over from it. But I want to call attention to this notorious game or non-game by Daniel Dubov. Oh, in fact, the game is not officially loaded, so I cannot click through what they did. And I don't remember the exact sequence of moves, but they played the Dance of the Knights. So they moved their knights around and then put them back on the original squares. Whoops, let's see. Why is this an advantage for white? Oh, because black's knight's hanging. White plays e4 with tempo, I guess. So I guess there is some non-trivial theory but they basically played like this. So you can cue the famous music by Prokofiev.
Montecchi and Capulezzi from Romeo and Juliet.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's the knights from Romeo and Juliet. So they agree to draw in this position, and there's a fine line. But FIDE decided that this was really a non-game and gave a forfeit 0 to both players, which mattered.
Now, it's a non-game by non-Russians.
Yeah, that's right, by non-Russians. Well, the kicker to this story is that yesterday the same two players did exactly the same thing in Title Tuesday and were not forfeited. Yes. So let's see how easily I can find Daniel Dubov's roster of games, and I don't know whether it was the first one or the second one. But in any event,
you've got a sample of what that game could be.
Right. Yeah. Yes. So anyway, here, whatever it is, Daniel Dubov got to play on first board against Hikaru Nakamura in the last round of yesterday's Title Tuesday. Title Tuesday late. And here we go. So Nakamura is king of blitz. Actually, this is featured in some scientific work that I'm still in the process of doing. But we can just enjoy chess for some reason. Okay, so white plays the London system, about which there are constantly jokes made on Twitter. And I'm afraid I knew about the London system when I was a 12-year-old kid, but I'm not up on the latest theory of it. Certainly seems like black is fine in this position, but what do I know? Okay, so this actually could be a preface to a fairly quick draw. It's a Queen's Gambit declined reverse type pawn structure, where black, if black gets enough tempi, can try a minority attack, advancing the b pawn to b4. And white has nebulous attacking chances on the king side, definitely more space there, but no e-pawn. Black has more pawns on the king side, and that often frustrates the idea of an attack. Sometimes it's actually white in the queen's gambit decline that's able to attack up on the king side. So that's me talking about black in this position with the greater pawn storm. So here we go. Both players are just increasing the energy of their positions. And white now stops the minority attack idea so that black cannot advance a pawn to b4. White will capture on the side.
So perhaps white could play b4, knight. No, after a5
Yep.
and c7. Now white plan could have been b4, knight b3, knight c5.
Exactly. It's a very natural plan.
It's natural, yeah.
But so instead, however, though, maybe there was a tactical problem with c3 hanging in some position. But anyway, white guards the a pawn. And now rook e3. This is the kind of move that people are realizing the value of. It's really, like a reinforcement at level 1 of a building. It's reinforcing c3 and making noises on the king side. So the amazing thing is this game is going to last only 10 more moves, even though it seems so quiet. Okay, so anyway, a3 is a good square for the queen. Now Hikaru prepares action in the center and on the king side and also improves his bishop. But when you play f6, you loosen things up just a bit. So white comes forward with c4 and b4. Here is the army marching abreast. And black does not want to capture on c4 because that would give white the center squares for the moment. White could put a bishop on c4, and then no black knight could oppose it. So black waits and sees what white is doing, but the engine says that this is a mistake. And now white just puts pressure on black's position. So b5, we're going to attack that way. And now... Okay, so black now, black is being squeezed in this position. So black tries to break through. Okay, so rook takes c8. Yeah, this is so we probably should be looking at this a little more slowly to see what is how the tactics are working. But the main point is that white is able to infiltrate. And white's pieces are just keeping black's pieces at bay here. So black's now extremely cramped, all the pieces together on the file. Now, queen takes d4 is meant to be a mistake. White should have just played d6 and then captured on d4 and would have been a pawn ahead with a winning position. This seems to be something you want to do to create activity. But anyways, this maneuver, this is one maneuver too much. And now, so queen c5, a very good move. I meant to say just 20 more moves, not 10 more moves that black will lose. Now, this takes over the d6 square, which black's knights are not able to oppose. So black, in fact, took back the previous move, did not go ahead with knight c6, which was the obvious intent. Had black played knight c6, then this says queen d6 and
knight d6.
Knight d6, the obvious one.
Then bishop c4, yeah.
And bishop c4, yes. So this would be this would just be too much pressure.
Yeah.
So Nakamura had to play here to relieve the pressure, and then tried to get out of it this way. But now, trade of queens, you're still looking at a knight c6, and white is x-raying black's position. Now this again was not the best move. Queen c5 would have been stronger, but this is still pretty effective, I think. Stop black from getting to b4 with the knight. Now knight d4, and now knight d6. Now white has finally achieved everything that he's gone after. And now the pressure on d5 is now not going to be withstandable. Here we go.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah. White just has to maneuver the knight in for the final final kill. Black now has problems with weak squares on the king side. Okay, and now the computer sees mate in 6. Whoops. Apparently, this was a misclick by Black. It doesn't much
Oh.
matter. Yeah. That's obviously a mouse misclick,
Mhm.
but or maybe Black was hoping White would blunder the queen to G6 or something. But if you play here, it's a very nice checkmate with this.
Queen E8 and bishop E4, yeah?
Yes.
Oh, I see. That's
Yes, even that. And
course.
Queen G7 mate. Yeah. So Hikaru is not invincible. So
Yeah. Well, I've seen interview of Dubov on Russian channel, Levitov Chess. Very interesting. He has a lot of thoughts about the classical game and Blitz, and he was talking about his life. He's still in Moscow, although he travels very often, and sometimes he spent a lot of time outside of Russia in places like Kazakhstan or Armenia. And but so far he's not switching federations as many other people, Russian players did lately. So he's still sticking out. Hopes for the best.
Yeah.
But what can we say? We'll see. Well, again, thank you very much for very instructive games, very interesting and entertaining indeed. And hopefully next week we will get together and we'll discuss first games of weekend there.
That would be exciting, yes. So
yeah, that's going to be very exciting.
I will probably be back in Buffalo on a week from tomorrow. Yes. So.
Good. So we might do it as usual time. Thank you so much. Have a great week.
Okay. Happy New Year. Best of health to Nava. Okay.
Best of all, and to your mother, and have a safe trip back home.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.